What is up, guys? Tugi here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Boston Bruins GMO. This is episode number 51, and we are going to finish up Season 9 in this episode. Now, in the last episode, the monumental episode 50, we started off the season. It went relatively well, but I left you guys with the question, or really just kind of the thought, trying to decide myself, what do we want to do with this team? And because it's so difficult to trade and get somebody who isn't on the trading block, I've set up our own trading block, and we'll see if teams come to us. Now, the biggest glaring issue, I want to show you guys this. Our defensive core has been great, and it's been bad. Now, put Sheldon Darling on the third pairing with Provorov. Again, I really want him to turn around, but look at his stats, man. Minus 16. Now, he was paired up with Justin Falk, who is an amazing player, who's a minus 22. I do not blame Justin Falk for that at all. I think Sheldon Darling has dragged down Justin Falk. And if Darling drags down Provorov, who granted hasn't been amazing, but he's been a stable part of this defense, if he drags him down as well, I know it's not going to work out with Darling. But on the bright side, man, Lauzon and Keane are fucking amazing. Look at Jeremy Lauzon. He only has 8 points. He's a plus 34. Keane is a plus 37 with 27 goals. Absolutely unbelievable. Again, if you thought it was a mistake trading Victor Hedman, it's okay to admit it. I admit it too. It's rare that it happens to me, but you can admit you were wrong on that one. But let's move forward here. Again, if somebody comes to us with the trade offer, we'll definitely explore it. We have 50 contracts though, so we can't really look at free agency, but I'm hoping somebody does come to us with an offer, because otherwise I did look at people who are on the trading block, and it's guys who are at the end of their career that have big contracts. Kopitar, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, it's those types. We're not going to be able to get someone like Jake DeBrusk, who's in the start of his prime. The GMs in this game simply won't give up those players, and I'm not willing to overextend to get one of those players. I am a stingy bastard. I make sure that we get fair value. But let's move forward here. We have a game against the Islanders coming up. San Jose, New York, and then the New York Islanders in Montreal. So we will give Marcus Olson the next 4 games. Let's sim up to this Montreal game, see what happens. Now, I was hoping to leave the injury bug behind us in the last episode. Unfortunately, it is here to stay. Artemi Panarin is going to be out for a few weeks. That's a pretty big blow. He's been not an amazing player for us this year, but we know what to expect with him. Let's put Finneganov up on the second line and put Senishin. No, we'll keep Pause there on the third. He's starting to lose a bit of morale. Let's put Day back up with Falk, and let's see if that's improved at all. And not really for Falk, not really for Darling. So maybe just both are having rough seasons. So probably not the trade offer you were expecting, but we do get a deal for a prospect who isn't going to pan out. 2/4 from the Hurricanes. I have absolutely no problem taking that, and that also frees up a contract on our books, I do believe. And I am not taking that first round pick from San Jose. And this is why I go week by week, especially around this time, because you can just see the amount of trade offers we are getting. We have an AHL top 4 defenseman for 2/5, so I'll take that as well. You know me, I have no problem getting a draft picks. And that is a very interesting deal from the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Bobby Ryan is not having the greatest season of his career, only 20 points. He is 36 years old as well. Arkhipov and Lalonde, 2 guys we just drafted. At best, they jump up to 7th potential, maybe even a low 6th. I really don't want to trade Darling. I want him to turn around, but yeah, I gotta hold on to him. I gotta hold on to Darling. I am fucking determined to make it work with this guy. But through the first 4 games, we had 3 straight wins, a shutout over the Islanders, wins over San Jose and New York, a loss in the rematch to the Islanders, so we will put in Soderstrom moving forward, but we are still in second place. And again, the Darling situation is going to bug me until we are beyond the trade deadline. It's going to bug me into the future too, especially if he doesn't turn it around. But as expected, Marcus Olson up to an 86. Mikhail Soderstrom, though, no growth this year. I was tempted to keep him down in Providence, where they would just murder everybody. They're doing that anyway. They're starting to flatten out a bit more now and drop back down to reality, and we get another trade offer involving Darling. How has Tyler Toffoli done this season? How old is he? He's 31. He doesn't have the best point total, only 5 goals, which is pretty disappointing for a sniper like him. I guess he's comparable to Goodrow, and to Panarin. I gotta admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this one because Peluso, again, is another one of those guys who might grow. We just drafted him, I believe, the season prior. I'm looking at Darling's stats. His plus minus is starting to come down. It gives me a little bit of hope. I think I'm going to regret this, but I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take that trade. But I think if there was a trade to take for Darling, that was probably it. But if they offer it again and his stats start to regress a little bit, maybe we'll take it in that instance. We do have a little bit of time now before the trade deadline. Still in second place though, and I will point that out every time because I constantly expect this team to fall. Adrian Haas not too happy, but again, always pick the second option. Very, very rarely will there be any negatives out of the second option. But we have the entire month of February, a lot more trade offers to come, and we are going to sim pretty damn far ahead here. We are going to go up to this New Jersey. Actually, we'll go up to the Calgary game because we'll give Soderstrom the Calgary game. So let's see what happens here. Pretty much simming the entire month of February. Right off the bat, we get a trade offer from New Jersey for a second-round pick, which really makes me wonder why Ronnie Peluso's trade value would be that high if he's an AHL top 2 defenseman. He was a third-round pick of ours. That would make me think that he is really going to turn it around and actually become something. But I think I'm going to take that pick from New Jersey. I don't think Arkhipov will really become anything. I'm willing to take the risk. It's a second-round pick. If it was lower, I wouldn't take it, but we're taking this deal. We've received an offer from Calgary, and it is very, very interesting. Darling is still struggling, hovering around that minus 15 mark. In fairness, it might not have been his fault. Justin Falk is also struggling. Stasiak is someone I don't really expect to turn it around. Again, he's a fringe starter. Maybe he'll turn into a high starter, but again, we have Soderstrom and a third-round pick. I think, you know what? I think I'm going to take this. I don't see Darling turning it around. A first and a second for Darling, Stasiak, and a Minnesota third-round pick. We're taking this deal. We have finally reached the end of that sim period. It took forever with injuries and trade offers. It wasn't completely ideal, and obviously I think the team took a little bit of a hit from Sheldon Darling being friends with people in the locker room. And despite the fact he was only an 82 at the time, it still recognizes him as a quality player as an 86. So we took a bit of a morale hit for that. Wins, though, against Minnesota, a loss against Anaheim, win, loss, win over Winnipeg, and then 2 straight losses, but a 4-3 shootout win over New Jersey. We are now at the Calgary game. We've fallen into third place, but you look at our ratings are nice, 91, 95, and 91 in terms of goaltending. It's just the injury bug's been a big thing for us this year. Our lineup is constantly rotating. But Mikhail Soderstrom, it is your first start in a very, very long time at this point. Let's see if you can get us a win here against the Calgary Flames. And this is taking forever. He cannot. It's a 2-1 loss to the Flames. But looking ahead now to the month of March, and Jesus fucking Christ, what is this schedule? What the fuck is this? Back-to-backs on every Monday and Tuesday for the entire month. Are you fucking serious? 3 straight games, 3 straight days worth of games. What the fuck is this schedule? This is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen in this game. Holy shit. Alright, well, Mikhail Soderstrom and Marcus Olsson have their work cut out for them in this month. Jesus Christ. As we approach the deadline, I'm still not sure how I want to go about things. I know this team needs improvements. We are in third place, 32 wins on the season, but I think it will come back to haunt me not letting go of certain prospects, but let's sim up ahead here. We'll see. We'll do this live. We'll see if we get any interesting trade offers, but as I've said a million times, and here's case in point, they want Sean Day and a second for a 36-year-old Phil Kessel. Granted, they're throwing in 2 seconds as well. Maybe if it was just Sean Day for 2 seconds and Phil Kessel, I'd think about it. Maybe that'd be a little bit too far in my favor. But again, remember, Kessel is 36 years old. Sean Day still has potential to go. So these GMs in this game are very, very cheap. I've gotten this offer for Kuznetsov before. It is very tempting, but especially now since we actually traded away Sheldon Darling, I don't think I really want to get rid of any of these prime time defensemen. Can we sim this game against Edmonton? Yes, I know the trade blocks here. And actually, I'm going to make a slight change to our surplus. I'm going to lower it below an 84 overall for defensemen, so I stop getting offers for Provorov and Day. I should have done that right after we traded Sheldon Darling. That would have definitely saved me some time in between what you guys are seeing here in these sim periods. But the game against Edmonton, or not, I know Ryan Ellis isn't that good. I'm immediately skipping that. The game against Edmonton, Tuukka Rask and the Edmonton Oilers, we get a nice 5-3 victory. We get one more offer from Pittsburgh, and this is actually interesting. All right, so after waiting 3.5 minutes for the menu glitch to stop, we actually get to take a look at this. 2 second-round picks and Zachary Senyshyn for a first from Pittsburgh and Phil Kessel. Senyshyn, he is what he is. He's going to be a fourth-line guy. He's not going to grow beyond what he is. He's not a big point getter. Defensively, he's solid. The stick checking's pretty weak. Great skater, but 2 second-round picks. One from the frickin' what's-his-face trade, the Luke Phillip and Dougie Hamilton trade. The other from, I think, the Darling trade. I'm pretty sure. Phil Kessel. What is Phil Kessel doing this year? Because I'm more than happy to give up those for... Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're doing this, guys. We are doing this. 2 second-round picks and Zach Senyshyn for Phil Kessel and a first-round pick. Welcome home, Phil. So here are the lines going forward, unless we get a last-second trade offer. It is Jake DeBrusk, Sidney Crosby, and David Pastrnak on that top line. I'll actually show you guys their stats. I haven't done that too much. DeBrusk is having a good season. Crosby's having a ridiculous season. Pastrnak, not too bad. Goodrow, not too bad in terms of assists. Austin Czarnik, 82, 83 overall. Doesn't matter. He puts up points. It's ridiculous. Panarin also jumped back up to a second-line player. He hasn't done too bad. Dmitry Afinogenov, Ivan Suglobov, and Phil Kessel are now the third line. Is that a little bit of a waste of Phil Kessel? Potentially, but I want to use him to help better prepare Suglobov and Afinogenov and hopefully get them both up to 85 overall. And defensively, I've put Justin Falk on that third line, man. I thought he was the problem with Darling. He's just having a really off season. He is with Sergei Jas. So again, our defensive core probably a little bit weaker than expected, but Jas is somewhat holding his own. Again, he's a -1. We do have other players, though, defensively that can step in. We have Logan Coleman, we have Lander, we have Randall, my son Nueve. Yeah, that's a name. And we also have Steve Wolf, who is scratched as well. But look at these prospects, by the way. Jerome Burrows is only up a point. D'Agostini, I'm pretty sure, has gone up 5 overall so far this season. Earl, Paris Hogan, and Tekkanen both getting some great improvement this season. A little bit disappointed in Vic Bolaris's progression, but he's still putting up some really good point totals. So again, we've given up now on Darling. We've traded away some picks and Zachary Senyshyn. I like where our team is, but it's a matter of whether or not these prospects are going to be able to turn it on and actually get it done. But I'm pretty sure that is going to be the last deal we make, and it is, and we immediately have a groin injury, but that's okay because we're going to put Soderstrom in for this Philly game anyway. Mikhail Soderstrom, what can you do for us? Marcus Olsen will immediately be back in. It's a shootout loss. I'll take it, though. Any point matters. I have no idea what the hell Adrian Hawes' problem is. Just constantly complaining. I get it, you're not playing at the moment, but literally I was starting him on the third line. He's a third line guy, and he was complaining about ice time. This game can be very weird. We are in third place, though. Again, I'm going to mention that every time I can. So let's see. Hawes is disgruntled. So be it. Not happy with the decisions here. With that, I say have answer number 2, as you are down to 77. Hello, Phil Kessel. Welcome aboard. And oh, what a surprise. positive morale. Can you guys believe that? Man, that seems a little bit scripted or something, doesn't it? What a joke. We have 20 games left in the regular season, a game against a division opponent here. Olsen cannot get us the win, but let's see. We're going to need Olsen against Pittsburgh, so let's sim these next 3 games, and we'll have Soderstrom in against the Washington Capitals. So, not the ideal start after the trade deadline. We have lost 4 of our last 5 games, although we did get points from Philly and Detroit, but that is not what we are looking for. We have fallen out of 3rd place, unfortunately. Things are starting to look a bit concerning, but as you see there, I'll just hold the trigger. Dmitry Finneganov already up to an 85 overall, so mission accomplished there in terms of Phil Kessel helping him out. But Mikhail Soderstrom, we need help. We need wins. We really need one from you here. If you do, you'll probably start the next couple games and it's a 1-0 shootout win. I will take it. A goaltenders duel, and we will go with him until this Tampa Bay game. Let's see what happens in these next 3 games. Again, not the ideal situation. An overtime loss to Buffalo, a shootout loss to Ottawa, but we do get a big 7-1 win over the Florida Panthers. But any point we can get, even if we lose in overtime, we at least get a point out of that, so I will take it. Not the best stretch of games from Soderstrom, but Marcus Olsen can hopefully carry us the rest of the way. Soderstrom actually is the only goalie left with a 920 or above. So that's a little bit surprising, but we have 12 games left. Let's take a look at the standings. And my thing is, you would expect Buffalo with Jack Eichel to be ahead of us. You would expect Ottawa, who still have Karlsson, still have Subban, to be ahead of us. They are 3 points ahead. And Toronto, you would kind of expect them with Nylander and Marner still, in their prime right now to be handling business the way they are. We do have a little bit of a buffer between the Florida Panthers, so I think we'll be safe as long as we, of course, win the majority of our games. I'd say about 8 wins out of these remaining games will be enough. Marcus Olsen is in goal. He will start the next 2 games. We will put Soderstrom in against the weaker New York Rangers. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, not the best 2 games either. We put up 2 goals in 2 games. We let up 8. Not the best stretch there. Still in a wild card spot, but I am very concerned now that we might fall out of the playoffs. Some of our big name guys really aren't getting it done. I've shifted up the lineups a bit here and there, mainly due to injury concerns. But let's see if Soderstrom can get us a big win here against the New York Rangers. He can't. We at least get a point from the shootout loss, but as probably expected, we are a playoff team rather than competing for the President's Trophy. We're a borderline playoff team, I should say, that is going to have to just scratch and crawl to get in. Our locker room chemistry is really low. Some of the trades probably have a little bit to do with that. But let's see what happens here. We're done with those back-to-backs. Can Marcus Olsen get us a win here? If he does, he can't. We'll do the Florida game. If Olsen loses this, we're going to go back to Soderstrom. He gets us the win. Okay. So we'll sim the next 2 games, and we'll put in Soderstrom against the Washington Capitals. We'll do this live just for the hell of it to avoid on the amount of jump cuts we have had in this episode already. We get a win against Detroit, a win against Toronto, and you know what? I think I'm going to start Olsen here. I'm going to start him for once. Normally I do, because obviously Washington is in the Metro, Florida's in the Atlantic, so I like to start Soderstrom against non-division rivals. But we need the win here. I'm going to hope Olsen can get us the win against Washington. He can. It's an overtime. Doesn't matter. We hit the 40-win total, but God, we have that ridiculous stretch of 3 days and 3 games coming up. That is absolutely absurd, but we'll have to make the most of it. And in the lineups, I put Phil Kessel on the top line. He is just sucking ass right now. Dmitry Finneganov, though, up to an 86 overall. So we'll go back with these lineups. Phil Kessel, why would I put him on the top line and he immediately starts regressing? So that's pretty disappointing, but let's see what happens here. We have 4 games left in the regular season. Can Soderstrom get a win here? If he can, we'll keep him in against Tampa. He does. It's a 5-0 shutout. Soderstrom will start against Tampa and against Detroit. I might regret that. We have a 4-2 loss against Tampa, but we have secured a playoff spot. I'm pretty sure we cannot catch Ottawa, so we're going to be a wild card team. Yeah, we're going to be a wild card team. The best we can do is win our next 2 games, but even then I'm pretty sure Ottawa will have the tiebreaker on us. So we're going to be a wild card team. We're going to have to face one of the top seeds. Not ideal, but the playoff streak continues. I have no idea how many years it's at now. All I know is it's been a while since we've missed out on the playoffs. Marcus Olsson gets the next game. He'll probably be our playoff starter as well. We'll just rest him up here, especially now that we know that we're in the playoffs. But the game against Philly, Olsson's last regular season start, it is a 6-1 victory. Ottawa looks like, if they haven't played their game, it looks like they lost it. I'm not sure if they've played it or not. I just remember the 44 wins. But like I said, pretty sure it's impossible for us to eclipse them. So the last game of the regular season for Soderstrom, and we enter the playoffs on a 2-game winning streak. An overtime win against Detroit, which is huge. They were right behind us in the standings, but not a bad season with 43 wins. And in the first round, we play Zachary Senyshyn and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Funnily enough, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins play the Providence Bruins in the NHL tonight. But we make the playoffs again, something I wasn't sure was actually going to happen. Sidney Crosby, once again, our leading point getter. And let's take a quick look at the standings. We beat Detroit by a considerable amount of points to get that wildcard spot. And Pittsburgh did indeed win the Metro this season. So we could be in for a pretty rough go of things. In the next episode, we'll take a look at Pittsburgh's lineup, or at least what they did in the regular season. We'll also take a look at what our guys did in the regular season. We'll fix this lineup, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, we can pull off a miracle. All I know is I will be content if we can get past Pittsburgh. Should that be my standard? Should I be content to just make it past the first round? Probably not this late in the series, but it is what it is. Guys, thank you so much again for watching this episode. We are winding down the Bruins GM Mode series. If we pull off a miracle here, it could be the last playoff series, or at the very least season 10. As much as I might want to go past season 10, who knows? I might, but that does look like the cutoff point moving forward. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time.